Hi, and welcome back to It's Not Rocket Science 5 Questions Over Coffee. I'm here with Katie Hahn. Katie is the founder of the Climb Framework. The Climb Framework, and I'm sure we're going to get into this, is a way that helps particularly women, coaches, consultants get out of the overwhelm of a non-systemized business and helps them to elevate themselves to growth by using a framework which introduces systems, processes to help their business grow. So, Katie, thank you very much for spending a few minutes with us. I'm really looking forward to this conversation and welcome to It's Not Rocket Science 5 Questions Over Coffee.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you, Kate. So, Katie, let's start by trying to understand those people that I just sort of talked about. Those people that you're trying to help. Who are these people? What's the business they've got? What's the problem that they really find themselves in?
I'll give you an example. And we've
Please
seen a
do.
lot of these people. And this men and women, but I just specialize in women. But we see those people who hustle. The ones who are working all hours, they're doing everything. They're really putting this stuff in place. They're saying, "Oh, I got a new CRM. I'm on social media. I'm doing these things." But really, when you talk to them and you dig down, they're all over the place. They're after every shiny object. They are really just trying to solve that problem that they have today. And it may be trying to find people for their coaching clients. And so they're like, okay, what am I going to do today? I'm going to go after this. And tomorrow it's like, oh, I need a CRM. Now I have this. Well, now I have a client. What do I do next? And it's just constant chaos. And really what they face is they don't have a business. They have chaos. And really, what that means is they don't have a system to support their businesses. And what I found coming from the traditional business setting, brick and mortar, professional services, is when you set up a business, you generally set up with very specific systems in place. However, in this new world of having everything online, anybody can get started with anything. And these women that I work with are brilliant, absolutely brilliant and passionate. Problem comes in is they got the hustle, but they don't have the know-how that gives them those systems in place to actually predictably grow and feel that they're meeting what they want to do, which is generally, support the people they want to and whatever that coaching is, or in their business aspect, but also provide themselves that time and financial freedom that they got into this for. Most of them are moms and had a life crisis of change because now I can go back to work. I'm going to do my thing I love. And now with that, they got hustle, but they don't have time or financial freedom at all.
Yeah, I know the sort of thing that you're talking about. This is the sort of person that goes from feast to famine. Suddenly they've got too much work, they've got no time to deliver properly, and then the next week they're looking around going, where's the next meal check coming from? I've no idea where everything is. And it's that need to have that continuous flow of leads, that conversion of the lead to the customer in order to sort of just give them the space and the time to actually develop a real business, isn't it?
Yeah. And they make these, rash decisions because they need something today to solve a problem. And they don't have the systems in place that's going to help them long term.
Brilliant. So let's talk a little bit and sort of, if there's somebody out there sort of immediately saying, hey, this might be me, and they might recognize themselves, but give us some specifics about the sort of things that they've found themselves doing. You come across somebody and you go, I know what you're trying to do. These are the sort of people that have tried all sorts of things. Give us an example of the sort of things they've tried before they seek advice on how to put the sort of systems you're talking in about, Katie.
So it's really how women generally, it's a feeling. They are just sick of the feeling of being out of control. When they were a mom or in the traditional business setting, their life was pretty easy. And now they're starting to feel chaotic and they're feeling overwhelmed. And what they start doing is the shiny object. They may be on Instagram and they see, somebody puts out there, you're going to get 1 million, views if you do this. And so they start going down rabbit holes. But it's really never a system in place that's going to get to them to the actual end goal. And so, they're not figuring out that everything in a business has a relationship to each other. So they may go down, oh, I got a CRM, but they don't use it, which means they don't now have the data, the information, the cohesion that's going to take the processes from sales to onboarding to client experience to have those, clients that are really going to be the evangelist for them because the experience wasn't there. And it also means that they are acting in a way where everything in their business is a bottleneck because it relies on them. There's no growth strategy because they've put everything on themselves and not using the right system so that they can say, okay, I need to work on my business, not in my business. And then they can start delegating, bringing on a VA, because ultimately what you typically see are they'll bring people on, they'll bring salespeople, VAs. Problem is everything goes through them and it ends up failing. I work with tons of them like that.
Yeah. We've all seen those poor people that turn around and go, I've got 15 people working for me and absolutely none of them make a decision. And the question you always ask is, have you ever asked them to make a decision without talking to you first? And they look at you as if to say, well, why would we do that? That would be a very silly thing to do. So we know what you're talking about. Katie, I know you've got some really valuable free, and I'm going to just point people now towards our vault. Katie has given me 3 brilliant pieces of valuable content that I think you're going to just describe it to us, Katie, because I mean, I'm going to really encourage people. There are some really, really interesting pieces of really valuable advice that you've given to us to give away this evening.
So the first one is my coach's weekly sales checklist. It just starts small. You got to start somewhere, and realizing that at the front end, you need to have some processes in place and a checklist. So that one's an easy read. It gives you some activities to do, how to start implementing one thing at a time into your business and have a repeatable process every week just for sales, just small things. But I couldn't stop there because I know people have lots of problems. And I don't want to make this sound like these people are horrible or they're doing things wrong. They just don't have the right support. And I feel like I'm not doing them justice if I can't help provide more and the guidance they need to get to the next steps. So what I did was I just created a Facebook group, and it's called High Ticket Women Coaches, and it's all about sales and systems for scalable growth. I'm going to be dropping lots of nuggets of information in there, going live, talking about actual tangible pieces that they can implement in their business to get there. And the last thing is, I don't normally do this, but I want to make sure that what people and women are doing is impactful, and they're really going to have some strategies that they feel apply to them, because everybody feels like they're in a different spot. My business is different, but really there's 3 stages. And these 3 stages are chaos, stabilization, and optimization. And what I want to do is help them identify where they are and provide real strategies on a strategy call to get out of where they are so they can get to that growth. So I got a busy summer, but I am willing to give 10 people a free strategy call and really start working with them on here's what the steps you need to take to get to where you want to go.
So if you go to www.systemize.me/free-stuff, you can see there those 3 links. There's the link to book a strategy call. That's quite a long link, so I'm not even going to try and read it out. You can go to free-stuff and you will get immediate access to that strategy call link. You will get the Facebook group where Katie, I really wouldn't mind dropping in on that myself. I'm the wrong. I've got the wrong hair length and things like that. But so there's some really great stuff that you're going to put in there, as well as that. So I think you go to www.systemize.me/free-stuff. Grab those free things from Katie because they are hugely valuable. Katie, I just want to understand a little bit more about it. You obviously have got this system. You've worked out the climb system, and the climb is a great system. What was it? Was a book, a life event? What helped you to form the climb system and get it really focused in the way that you've got it now?
Well, it started off with experience. I I was drinking from a fire hose. I was put in charge as a CEO of an IT company, and the owners that I was working with, my other owners, they left to go off on another venture. And so it was a disaster. I was changing a business model, growing clients, in charge of sales. Everything was happening at once. And I felt that I didn't have a method to figure out what I needed to do. And so somebody had given me a book, and it was The Business Model Generation by Strategizer. And it really helps to visually organize what your business model is and who are your clients, kind of all those basic things that you really need to know. And I absolutely love the book. I still use it. And to this day, I talk to my clients, have them fill it out. And I just share the link. There's some great videos. But once you understand your business model, then you can move on to say what systems are important to your business model and really where to start focusing. So it's a very easy starting point. The other one, I believe you can use in life, but specifically for sales, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale
Uh-huh.
Carnegie. Oldie but a goodie. It's got core ideas, and what I really like about it is I don't want to manipulate people. It talks about how to be genuinely interested in people, how to
Mm,
be there to support their needs and hear them, because I don't want to be this used car salesman. I
mm,
am a high ticket closer. I love sales, but I want to do it for the right reasons. And I want the coaching clients that I work with to understand why that's so important, because I want those evangelists on the outside. I want them talking about it. And once you learn those and can align them, your businesses can scale because people aren't talking this negative talk about their experience, but also how they made you feel. And so I
yeah.
really want to combine those two. And the life instance that really kind of put these all together is that I work on the back end for high ticket coaches, and I see in their business, and I'm like, all right, I already have a process. Doesn't matter if it's a coach or a traditional business. Let's put it in place. And
Yeah.
that's where I came
Yeah. Do you know, I'm very aware that one of the things you were talking there about was the how to win friends and influence people, and I'm very aware that a lot of people, particularly who are struggling or perhaps just beginning to scale their business, they get very worried about sales because they feel dirty. They feel somehow it's forcing somebody to have something they shouldn't have. And I was talking to somebody not so very long ago, and they were saying, well, how do you feel about sales? Because my background is very different to most, and I was not trained in sales or anything like that. And I said I eventually realized sales is about helping somebody, and I just wanted to be the most helpful person in the world. So when I was reaching out and I was talking to somebody about helping them, I would say something like, you have this problem and I have this solution to your problem. If you'd like the solution, let's find a way of working together. And they'd go, yes. And I'd go, well, there needs to be some money for that. And they'd go, of course there has to be some money. And immediately you'd go, this sales thing isn't so difficult. It's just reaching out and helping somebody. And it's not about trying to force somebody to have something they don't want. It's basically being the most helpful person in the world, but just remembering in the end to say, I need to pay my mortgage. So do you mind if you help me do that?
I completely agree. I'm not traditionally in sales. That's not where I came from. I have an education and a science background. I'm a scientist by trade. So this is not my background. And it's just like you. What I find is if I can be helpful and they align, let's do it. And it's not slimy or anything like that.
So let's move on to the real question that you've probably got for me, Katie, at the moment, which is, you're probably sitting there thinking he still hasn't asked the killer proper question. He's got these questions he's asked me, but he hasn't asked the real one that I'm waiting for. So I'm just going to have to admit that I don't know what that question is and ask you to tell me what is the real killer question that you want me to ask you, and then obviously you have to answer it because I don't know the question either.
Well, it's not difficult. I mean, if I was talking, like thinking about this, it's like all this information is out there. All these processes are out there. There's tons of templates. The question is, why do business owners, specifically coaches, women coaches, still need a coach or mentor? And that for me is, it takes some realization that as a business owner, you still need to have that support,
Mm,
because basic transformation in a business is driven by just implementing. It's not about just the information you have. And I don't think that all this information that we can Google is making everybody money. Because if it was, we'd all be on autopilot. We need somebody to say, here's where you start. Here are the things you're blind to because you're in the business. And really aligning and saying, okay, here are the things we need to do to get you to X. Putting plans in place and holding somebody accountable. I was an athlete, and we have coaches for a reason. We need to have a team behind us. We have doctors. We don't just go to one. There's always this team and this support, and we think that's okay in other areas of our life. But as a business professional, we got to get set our egos aside and say, you know what, there's somebody here who can help guide me. And the point is that it's going to happen quicker and faster and easier when I have the right support. And that's why I do this. Back to your sales thing. I want to help people.
Brilliant. And we've gone full circle, which is exactly where we need to end. Listen, I thank you so much for coming out and spending a few minutes with us today, Katie. I think the advice you've given is brilliant. I'm going to just once again, Pete, go to systemize.me/free-stuff. Grab that stuff from Katie. There are not many people that give away as much free value as Katie does. So please grab that stuff as soon as you can. And one little request from me, please subscribe to the newsletter. What I do is I send an email once a week, and all I do is I let you know who's coming up so that you can join in and grab the sort of free advice that people like Katie give. So go to systemize.me/subscribe. That's systemize.me/subscribe. Get onto the newsletter list. You'll just get an email once a week, which basically there's a joke in there as well. So it's not all stuff. There's a joke. There's a joke. There's news about the people that are coming up on the podcast, and also some really great ways of getting advice from these people. Katie, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. I really, really love what you're trying to do to help people. And thank you for being as generous as you have been with so much of your advice.
Thank you very much.
Listen, I'm looking forward to following Katie. I really do think you should do the same. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.